Yes, everyone, how are we doing? And welcome to a video where we talk about Manchester City's new documentary, Together 4 in a Row. I've been seeing it advertised over the past few weeks, little snippets coming out at different parts of the season that have been filmed in the documentary. And I tell you what, it was 10 out of 10. It was a fantastic watch. And look, there were so many talking points during this documentary, and I've made note of most of the important ones that I want to discuss here. And I'll try and do it in order that the documentary went. So we'll kick off now. So look, the documentary starts off with a very small snippet of City winning the treble, that Rodri goal, the celebrations after, because obviously the main theme behind this documentary was always going to be how difficult it was going to be for City to retain the Premier League, make it 4 in a row, make history. And the first key thing that I picked up on was Tixie speaking about the summer transfer window after the treble. His words, it was shite. All right, they were his words, not mine. I wasn't too unimpressed by it, actually. I was feeling quite positive. He spoke about how difficult winning the treble made certain situations at the club, whether it be players that are still here now who wanted boosted contracts, pay rises, the ones that were key to the success, or on the other hand, the players that wanted out, the players that wanted rid, who weren't happy with the game time, who didn't contribute as much as they probably would have wanted to the treble. They would have gone. It was an interesting transfer window that summer one, wasn't it? Especially when you look at the outgoings, you look at Gundogan, the captain, the man who captained us to our third Premier League title in a row, was the main man, man of the match, man of the moment in the FA Cup, scored both goals, lifted the trophy, and obviously the big one, the Champions League. He captained us to our first ever Champions League trophy. He captained us to a treble, and he went that same summer. It was bizarre. It was unexpected. See, obviously he went to Barcelona. You think of Riyad Mahrez, who moved to Saudi League, which is a big blow for us. How big of a player he's been under Guardiola. Laporte, in my opinion, City's best ever January transfer window signing. These are some massive players. Cole Palmer, obviously at the time, didn't look like a big transfer, didn't look like a massive one anyway. I know he had little moments very early on into the season, the Community Shield that no one really cared about, but it was a beautiful goal by him against Arsenal. The Super Cup, obviously he equalised. He had little moments, and Chelsea came in with a big fee of around 50 million. And for someone who had as little Premier League experience as Palmer had, we were always going to let him go. But now you look at it, and people like to admit it for whatever reason, but it does kind of look like a mistake letting him go. So it was a weird transfer. When you think of the signings that we made, Kovacic, a top player and a man who I think he's slotted in his Guardiola side with ease. He looks like he's meant to be with Guardiola, but he wasn't Gundogan. Do you know what I'm saying? Núñez was a bit of a bizarre signing, a panic signing. You could even argue from, Gundogan not being there. Kovacic, there was links with him while Gundogan was still at the club. Was Núñez the Gundogan replacement? There was Gvardiol. Was he replacing Laporte? We couldn't work it out because when he signed him, we all knew about him. We thought it was going to be a good signing. £80 million, a lot of money for a defender. Obviously, we all know that, but we thought he could be centre-half because that's where he's played for Croatia, for Leipzig. And Pep's put him at left-back. And you look at it 12 months on, he is arguably the best, not just left-back, the best full-back in world football. That's how he's been playing. He's immense. So, typical Guardiola stuff. But yeah, that transfer window was really bizarre. Of course, Jeremy Doku too, do you know what I'm saying? As much as looking back now, you can argue that, yeah, it was a bit of an iffy one. It was a bit strange. At the time, I was feeling very positive. I think I actually made a video saying that this was one of our best ever transfer windows because I think we came out of it with a profit or around that anyway because of a lot of the sales that went out. Doku, an exciting player. Núñez, an exciting player. Kovacic, a man who we'd all seen a lot of. Gvardiol, one of the best up-and-coming, at the times, I would have said, centre-halves. It was exciting, but I think maybe we were getting carried away, me anyway, getting carried away because a lot of the business, the Doku and Núñez too especially, very late into the transfer window. So, it was a little bit of a rush, a little bit of excitement. The season's already started and we're getting these players in. So it was exciting, but to hear Tixie come out and say it was shit, it's interesting. Then not all that much later into the documentary, we were hearing Kyle Walker speak so openly, which was nice to hear, about that potential move to Bayern. And I forgot about it really, but how close was that to happening? It was that close. I remember it back then. We thought we were going to lose so many of the senior players, Mahrez, Gundogan and Walker, them two especially. It'd have been a massive blow for us. He openly admitted that he was doubtful about how much game time he'd get. And he didn't know what the best move for him because obviously a move to Bayern Munich, one of the biggest clubs in Europe, that'd have been a good move for him, really, wouldn't it? You wouldn't have looked back on him leaving City and going, look, he's obviously he's downgraded. Anything from City is a downgrade. But if he were to leave, let's say this season or the end of next season, I don't think he gets that Bayern Munich move. That's what I'm trying to say. So I don't think it had been a bad move for him at the time. But obviously there was that moment that, they didn't mention this in the documentary, but I was just going back in my memory about when Pep took him out to dinner and they had that conversation and everything changed. But people forget how close it was to Walker leaving. And then not too long after, the best ever contract announcement, I'm not leaving. It all feels like such a long time ago because of how busy of a season it was last season. And it is every season, but yeah, that is massive. Imagine we would have lost Kyle Walker. The season would have been completely different. And I know Kyle Walker's a bit of an iffy subject, amongst City fans at the minute because he hasn't been at that same level that we've known him to be across his spell at City. Because what you're expecting, he has been the best right back in Premier League history. That is what he'll go down as. So I'm not expecting that level from him. He is better than he's playing at the moment. I do believe in him still. He'll get back to his best. So I know people will be very jumpy on him. They seem to be use him as a scapegoat. It really irritates me. But yeah, I think Walker's still a massive player for us. And us keeping hold of him last season and even this season, of course, he's our captain. Look, it's big. People, we're sleeping how important that is. Moving on, another big thing that happened last season and in this documentary that, again, I completely forgot about. There were so many little things here and there throughout the documentary that I thought, forgot about that. And it's, like I said, the season just felt so long. You look back at how long the actual season is, even the starts of this season, you feel like so much has happened that you forget these massive moments. We spent half of last season without Kevin De Bruyne. I know last season it was probably all I went on about. I know that. But thinking back, we spent the first half of the season without him. First game of the season against Burnley. He had that bad hamstring injury. He had a surgery. We've seen the stitches. They're showing it a lot of, quite a few clips of him in recovery, him getting back to his fitness. He's showing it in the documentary, and it was very fitting when you think of the situation we're in now with Rodri. I know we've not got Rodri half the season, we've got him out the whole season. So obviously it's a little bit different to De Bruyne. And you would argue that Rodri is a bit more important to the City team than De Bruyne is, because we don't have anyone to fill in for Rodri who can match that level in De Bruyne's position. We've got Bernardo, we've got Foden, we've got other players, you know what I'm saying? But when you think about De Bruyne, arguably, before that injury, the best player in the world. That's what I'd have been arguing anyway. To think that we went on to win 4 times in a row, to think that we carried on at such a ridiculously high level, is remarkable. But yeah, just looking back at the reaction from the pundits and the media towards that De Bruyne injury, people saying, look, Arsenal, Liverpool, this is the chance. It feels like all we ever hear every season is, because City do drop off every single season, and then we pick back up. The same will happen again this season, mark my words. But all we ever hear is, it's Liverpool's chance. It's Arsenal's chance. And who ends up with the trophy? So it's every year, doesn't it? So, yeah, I just thought it was really interesting to think back. It's very fitting to now in a situation with Rodri. Even with De Bruyne, we've spent months already this season without De Bruyne. And I know across all the injuries from last season, we didn't have it as hard as we have so far this season. Obviously, there was that injury to Grealish. Haaland, we spent a couple months without last season, but not all at once like we've had this season. We've really suffered early on to the start of the season, haven't we? Anyway, look, moving further on into the season, you think of a massive milestone, not only just in last season's campaign, but in City's success as a club. The Club World Cup competition that we played in, that we won for the first time in our history. And looking behind the scenes, I don't think we really understood as fans, looking from the outside at that time, how much of a turning point this was. We kept looking at certain results here. We get a win off the back of a bad spell and we go, this could be the turning point, and it never really was. I think when you look at the overview of last season, the 2 games that stuck out to me that were like, okay, we mean business now, was that Club World Cup and that Newcastle game. Now, first on the Club World Cup, it was off the back of a terrible result where we bottled that 2-0 lead to Crystal Palace. In the 95th minute, Elise scored that pen. I seen Pep digging out Phil Foden in the changing rooms. It was a bit mental to watch. But of course, we travelled the same day. We bottled a 2-0 lead. All the players were down. Pep was fuming. Very rare I've ever seen him as angry as that, in management while at City. But the same day, we then travelled to Saudi Arabia, I think it was, and to look at the reaction and the celebration and the feeling in the dressing room and behind the scenes and just at the club, off the back of that Club World Cup, how big of a turning point it was in momentum and feeling. It was just something that we can that lifted us, that pushed us on, that just reminded us like who we were. That was the 5th trophy we won in that calendar year. I don't think, not just us, I don't think any club in England will ever experience anything like that ever again. It was monumental. And the only thing we can compare it to this season, I know it's massively different, but you look at what this situation we're in now, coming out of this November international break. Now, saying that there's a turning point in the season in November, it is silly, especially when you consider what happened last season and the season before. And many seasons before that, we've never really done it the truly easy way. Very rarely have we anyway. So to say there's going to be a turning point in the season in November, it's immature, premature, it's ridiculous. But the only thing I compare it to, obviously, there's no trophy that we've played in. There's nothing that City are doing as a collective that will change the momentum and the feeling in the dressing room, because there's no doubt we went into this break needing it, feeling down, off the back of 4 losses in a row. In that documentary, they were talking about how, oh my God, City have lost 3 in a row. We never see Pep lose 3 in a row. Well, we fucking do. We've just seen us lose 4. Do you know what I mean? What they're going to do in the 5 in a row documentary next year? Because I'll make another one of these on them. But yeah, there's been nothing that is happening now or will happen this season early on enough, to give us a lift and a push for the end of the season. But I think this international break will be good for City. I can't say it has been massive for City in the season's talent race because we don't know. I'm speaking into the potential, speaking into the future about the things that have happened. We needed this break. It came at a good time. City, the fans have forgot about the result. No doubt the players have had other things on their mind, whether it's the players that have pulled out or are injured and they're just resting and recovering. The players that have played for the national teams, obviously focusing on the football over there. Pep's had time away. Everyone's had time away. And I'm hoping we can just bring it back together as a collective and just kick on and, take the season by storm. We've got some massive games coming up in the next month or so. Spurs, Liverpool, United, some massive games. We really need to kick on. But obviously the major thing coming out of this international break is obviously Pep's extension. It's mental. It's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? It's lovely to see. It's what it's always been a question there, and I don't know how much that would have always affected the players. I don't think Pep's uncertain future at the club for the rest of the season, I don't think that's affected anything for the first few months of this season, not for 1 second. But it's a lift. These little wins, whether it's a breakaway or Pep signing or whatever, doesn't matter. These little wins will all build up into something bigger, if you know what I'm saying. I don't know if I'm just rambling on here. And anyway, coming off the back of that Club World Cup, we start picking up a few wins. We're building at least a little form here, picking up some momentum, getting a nice run going. And it kept showing us the league table, and it did make me think we really wasn't up there, top of the league, for most of last season, was we? I knew we weren't, but as I said, you keep putting yourself in last season's shoes. We weren't. It was constantly 2nd, 3rd, 4th, even 5th. So for anyone that it's good to look at, for anyone panicking about the season already, you can look at this league table and go, what? We're already 5 points behind Liverpool this early onto the season. It shouldn't be happening. But I think that's a positive as good as it's a negative. The negative is already we're 5 points behind them. We've hardly played any games. But on the positive side, we've got so many more games to rectify it. So many more points to win. Points for Liverpool to drop. So it's a two-sided coin. Look at it however way you prefer. But for me, I'm looking at this as a positive. Obviously, there's no really positive to being 5 points behind Liverpool. But you'd rather be 5 points behind them in November than you would in February. And in February and March, we were 5 points behind them. We were 5 points behind Arsenal. Look at what we ended up doing. It's a long, long, long way to go. So yeah, like I said, we were building momentum. We were getting a few wins back on the board. And then like I mentioned earlier on, when I mentioned the Club World Cup, the other turning point that I noticed and I picked up as the main factor for last season's success, and what Rodri said was the biggest game of the season in his opinion, that game away at St. James's Park, De Bruyne's return. I remember this, clear as day. This will go down as one of my favourite ever City games. I wish I was there. I really, really do. De Bruyne came on off the bench. We all know what happened. You don't need me to tell you what happened with De Bruyne's goal, then his assist for Oscar Bob. But I just remember that feeling of like, wow, we've done it. We've changed. We fought until the end. It's what we do. It's how we battle. Because there were so many little things, even in that game, you think, where we were so in control and then Newcastle turned it on us out of nowhere. We're 2-1 down. Ederson's had to come off injured yet again. Ortega has made a big save. It was just, that seemed like such an important win. not only for us as fans on the outside last season, but inside, you're just seeing it. Oscar, Bob, 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 all the players singing. Khaldoon, again, it's another eye-opening thing. People forget and we don't appreciate how important and how, I don't know how to use it, what word to use to describe it best about Khaldoon, but he's just so involved. He's always there in the big occasions when he feels like he's needed. He's always there. And we seem to never let him down. Do you know what I'm saying? He should come every game because we always win. We always get the result when he's there. So, yeah, that win at St. James's Park was something special. And then, like I said, it was win on win on win on win. Up until next one was Derby Day. What to speak about Derby Day? Of course, speaking about the one at the Etihad, that 3-1 win over them. And I tell you what, I had chills watching this. All it did was get me up for Derby Day in December. Roll it on. What an occasion, especially when you win. Or only when you win, isn't it? But beautiful. But yeah, last season's Derby Day, Khaldoon was present once again, a big occasion. There was a lot of interviews, little clips of Pep talking about how he doesn't let him affect him or the players, but the media were trying to make out like this was a guaranteed win for City, which it never is. Regardless of how good or bad United are playing, they'll always rise to the occasion for Derby Day, won't they? So the Derby's never going to be easy, but we made it look easy, didn't we? Phil Foden was on fire that game, but yeah, the clips around it was obviously, Pep being up for it. Khaldoon was present again. Foden, he's our Phil. He's our Phil. It means more to him. You can just see it. He rises to it more than anyone. It means more to him than any other player on the pitch. And I hope he does the same again next month. But I tell you what, one of the most powerful scenes from that documentary, post-Derby Day, was after the game. And you'd seen Pep in floods of tears. And it was like, fucking hell. It was hard to watch a man that you idolise that upset. And he spoke about Clive, and for someone that realistically he could walk down the street and I never would have recognised him. Obviously, we're not going to. He's a man who's inside the club. The media never going to see him. The outside field's never going to see him. It's all about indoors, and obviously the players, you can see how much they appreciate him and how much he means to them. Pep especially, because he was, as I said, he was distraught. But I'm getting emotional watching a clip of a man who's obviously very seriously ill, but someone I don't even know. But it was just how powerful it was, a Pep and all the players and the emotion. And I tell you what, it just shows how together, no pun intended about the name of the documentary, but how together we are as a team, as a unit, not just the players and the fans, but the staff and all the people behind the scenes. What a club, seriously, what a club. Anyway, look, let's lift the mood a little bit more back from then. You don't need me to tell you how the season went. We all know how it ended. It's showing all the clips of, the big games afterwards, the pivotal wins. The other main game of the season, Spurs away. We put ourselves in a position going into that game where if we won this game, it was near enough done. It was nearly done. And again, even though you know how the story finishes, you know how the story goes, even though you've already watched the game, you've watched the save 10 times over, 100 times over even, it still gets you. You still feel like you're swallowing your tongue, your heart sinking when your son's one-on-one with a keeper. God, it just takes you back, doesn't it? What a moment. Stefan Ortega will forever be a Manchester City legend for that save. Honestly, what a moment. What a moment. Season, title-defining save. How different would it have been if someone puts the ball in the back of the net? And Arsenal with a team that wins the league. God, do you know what I mean? Wow. Honestly, wow. And then, like I said, you do know how the story goes. City end up beating West Ham, whacking West Ham 3-1. We didn't half love a 3-1 score last season, did we? But yeah, we beat West Ham 3-1. Last day of the season, City win 4 Premier Leagues in a row. A moment, a history. Pep doing things that have never been done before. Nothing new for him. Breaks records on a season-by-season basis. And I hope he does it again. But looking at the documentary as a whole, like I said, I thought it was a piece of art. It was fantastic. It was a fantastic watch. Seriously, I mean this. If you've not watched it, if you've not got City Plus and you don't want it for the year and you're not going to watch a lot of the stuff or watch back the games, I honestly would recommend just pay the month subscription, at least for this documentary, because it was powerful. It just lifts you up. It gets you excited for the football that's coming back in the City, and it makes us feel, as I said, we forgot what has happened the past 4 games. It doesn't matter. Pre-international break, you forget everything. It's just lifted. For some reason, I'm here thinking, we're going to do 5 in a row. We might even win the treble. Looking at the team spirit and the players that we've got and everything, the feeling about the club, seriously, it's put me in such a good mood. To summarise the entire thing, the one thing that stood out to me more than anything from the start to the end, of course, Pep Guardiola. And I'm saying this, and this is a day later from it, being leaked about Guardiola's extending his stay at City. It's come out at a perfect time. Perfect time. I know we've not announced it yet as a club, but we know he's staying. The documentary comes out, and we know he's staying. And it's just shown time and time again, whether it was bad results and his reaction and him having to go at players, or he just always knows how to respond. He doesn't have to speak. There was a moment before the Spurs game where he's showing a clip and he's got all the staff and the players in the room. He doesn't even speak. He just puts a presentation of the highlights of the season. He doesn't open his mouth, and he gets to feel the aura of the man. He knows when to dig at players. He knows when to put an arm around him. He's got the perfect answer, the perfect decision for every single situation. He's a genius. He is a genius. He's doing things not only we've never seen, but the Premier League, the English football have never seen. He's a remarkable man. He needs a statue. A statue needs to be in his name. He's going to go down as arguably the most important man in this club's history. I love the guy to pieces. And look, no matter how tough it gets this season, whether we come back and we're still a bit shaky, or we could go 10 points behind Liverpool, I don't care. It isn't just the what we've seen and what we've experienced as fans before, to never give up, and what City are like, we fight to the end. It's not just that feeling. It's not just the players that we've got fit and available, whether De Bruyne's fit, Diaz is fit, Stones, whoever, Foden. It's not even just the players we've got that makes you believe. More so than our experiences or the players, it is that man. No matter how tough a situation is, no matter how far off Liverpool or Arsenal we might find ourselves, we'll always feel like Pep Guardiola will find a way out of the situation. He will always find a way out. He'll always make the right decision in the end. He's always right. Pep is right. Pep is the man. And as much as he's staying till 2026 with an option to stay till 2027, honest to God, if there was a way of getting him to stay till 2047, I'd do it, no matter how hard it takes, because we have got so many thank yous to give him. I could thank him all night long and tomorrow and next week, and it wouldn't be enough. He was the main thing that stood out to me. Him extending beyond this season is the best thing, no matter whether we make it 5 in a row, whether we win a Champions League again, whether we win the FA Cup, whether we beat United 5 times a season. It doesn't make a difference. Whatever happens, that is the best thing to come out of the season, Pep extending, and I'm so happy about it. So look, anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I've spoken an awful lot about this documentary. If there's anything you think I've missed, give me a message. Let me know in the comments. Message me on Instagram, Biased Man City Fan. We're back. International football is over. City's back. Think of how many big games there's going to be, how many big talking points there's going to be. I made it now. I am here. I am going to be very present on here. So make sure you subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on the documentary. Like I said, if you've not seen it yet, well worth a watch. So anyway, look, I am going to leave it there, like I said. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you have, give it a thumbs up. Like I said, subscribe to the channel. And thank you for watching. Come on, City. Let's fight to the end. The season's back, baby. Come on.